What's up, family? It's your urban sports guru. Um, I want to also address this whole LeBron playing with Anthony Davis thing. I'm not a fan of super teams, and I've said this many times, but I've also predicted that there'll be two more super teams this coming off season. And I'm going to support the whole Anthony Davis playing on the Lakers, even though I think their Pelicans have other options that they can go. And I'm going to support it for the simple fact if the NBA is going to force feed us a bunch of LeBron games, we got the best player, the most marketable player, playing on the most marketable franchise. I'd rather watch it with a game with games that's going to be competitive. That's just me. The fact of the matter is, can the super teams make a lot of the league not competitive, and you end up watching a lot of bad basketball. But the reality, also further, to compete in the NBA nowadays, because we're in the super team era, you need a super team of your own. If you don't have one, you're not going to be able to compete year to year. If you have one and you're not building upon it, you're not going to be able to compete year to year. Case in point, for those of you that don't understand the point I'm making, I got two words for you: Houston Rockets. It's just that simple. And what has created the need for super teams is something I spoke about before. I'm going to quote LeBron James. He said it on his HBO show, The Shop, last year. He said, "You'd be surprised how many guys come into the NBA and don't know how to play basketball," which makes me think about Mark Cuban's comments when he's talking about sending kids over to Sylvania when they're 13 so they could really learn how to play basketball, because here all they know how to do is cross over in mixtapes. LeBron James comments himself said, "You'll be surprised how many motherfuckers come into this league and don't know how to play basketball." And he brought up the example of they don't even know what a flex cut is. These are LeBron's words. Now, this is the reason, the conundrum that is fucking up the NBA right now. I've said this before. I'm going to say this again for everyone who did not hear me. Teams cannot build through the draft anymore. You just can't. It is so much harder to build from the draft. So you are from a small town team and you're picking in the top five. You almost got to pick in the top five for a good 5, 6 years. And in those 5 or 6 years, 3 of those years, you better have franchise players. Philadelphia has done this. They got one franchise player. They got potentially two franchise player, and they got one of the biggest busts in the NBA history. A couple of busts with Nerlens Noel, and now Markelle Fultz. Reality is these guys ain't coming around every single year. They're not. They're not. Make it an all-star in the top five. And the reason why Mark Cuban is saying this because the Mavericks have been bad for quite some years. And last year he hit with Dennis Smith Jr. And this year, who'd he hit with? Luka Doncic. Clearly going to be the rookie of the year. This is why he's saying this. And the NBA, you literally cannot build this way anymore. Even if you get a kid who's good, getting a motherfucker with some heart. I've bigged up Minnesota last couple of years, waiting to see Minnesota do it. What is the biggest question about the Minnesota Timberwolves? Their heart. Biggest question about Karl Anthony Towns, his heart. Biggest question about Andrew Wiggins, his heart. They got fucking 2 number 1 picks, for crying out loud. You don't question they're questioning their heart. And it's like this is why I say it's so hard. Because guess what? No free agent is just gonna, okay, send me to Minnesota. That shit didn't happen when you had Kevin Garnett there and nobody questioned his fucking heart. Nobody's asking to go to Minnesota. So because of that, Minnesota has no choice but to try to build from the draft. And it's like it's that much harder now to build from the draft because the bigger conundrum, the NCAA. Because all reality, these kids should be there longer. These kids should be developing there. But I will never ever argue against these kids leaving because guess what? They're getting raped. They're getting raped because they're not getting paid. They're not being compensated. So I'm never going to argue against these kids leaving after one fucking season. Even when basketball-wise, it serves them best. But financially, you're being taken advantage of. That's modern-day slavery. So because of that, it has spiraled into this problem where now the only way you can win nowadays, and LeBron was foreknown on this, I don't think he'll ever admit it. I think this is one of the reasons why he went the super team round. Why do you think every time he gets young players on his team, he ships them out of there? Oh, don't wait. That train's never late. The young boys in the Lakers, oh, they out of there. They getting out of there. Because that's the only way they're going to get AD, because AD's on the contract for another 2 years. Oh, they out of there. Whichever one of them young boys got to go, they out of there. Out of there. Lonzo, I don't care what your pops say. You out of there. I mean, this is the only way you could do things down in the NBA. So for that reason, I'm going to support it. Let me hear what y'all think about my comments. Hit me up on Instagram, Facebook. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. It's your boy, Urban Sports Guru. I'm out. Salute.